Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. Over the past few years of hosting this podcast, I have come to realize how challenging it can be to expand someone's understanding of creativity who doesn't believe they are creative, or who struggles to see how creativity might support them in their everyday life. Once a month, I will be choosing a topic I find fascinating, interesting, or exciting, and combining it with creativity to share with you just how much creativity permeates all aspects of our lives. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about creativity and mindfulness. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into today's solo episode of Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm super excited to launch this new piece of the podcast and take some deeper looks at creativity. My plan is to have a solo episode once a month where I take a deeper look at creativity topics and how creativity shows up in our everyday lives, or how creativity connects with things that we do in our lives. So let's get started. Today, I'm going to be talking about creativity and mindfulness. Before I dive in, let's have a little pre-chat about mindfulness and what I mean when I say the word mindfulness. Many people hear the word mindfulness, and now I've said it several times, and think of meditation and then immediately go to a religious connotation or religious connection. While there are religions that utilize meditation and mindfulness, I won't be talking about that version of mindfulness. I will be talking about mindfulness as a way to increase awareness of our present moment experience and how important it is to creativity. I see mindfulness as a practice of paying attention to the present moment on purpose without judgment. I'm going to repeat that. I want to make sure this really lands for you. Mindfulness is a practice of paying attention to the present moment on purpose without judgment. Sure, there are times when I don't like the moment I'm in or I have a strong opinion about it, but before I can have that strong opinion, I have to notice and be aware of the moment I am actually in. I have spent years developing my own mindfulness practice. As a child, it was something I did with my mom. It was a way to make it through stressful or emotional moments, a way to name emotions I was experiencing, a way to learn breathing techniques, and we also used it as we would walk the 30-foot labyrinth in my front yard. As an adult, my mindfulness practice continues. I've taught mindfulness in hospital settings, in outpatient offices, in coaching sessions, and to countless performers over the years. Mindfulness continues to support me to pay attention to myself in my life. These days, I make the choice and create the time to regularly practice mindfulness both on and off my meditation cushion, as it directly supports my creativity and creative transformations in my life. So, how do creativity and mindfulness connect? Creativity and mindfulness both happen in the present moment and both require practice. Creativity, like any muscle in your body, if you use it infrequently, it will be more difficult to access than if you were to use it regularly. With a regular practice of creativity, creativity will be at your fingertips, waiting to blossom with the next new idea, the next new experimentation, the next personal growth opportunity, or new project you are searching for. By engaging in creativity in everyday life, you begin to build a well-worn neural network in your brain. The same is true for mindfulness. The more you practice mindfulness and creativity, the easier it is to incorporate them into your everyday life. Something that I think is rather cool is that creativity and mindfulness utilize some of the same networks in our brain. Creativity at times can be a headspace or a place that we enter into. In neuroscience, this is a space that we call the default mode network. This is where our brain is in a wakeful, restful state, or a waking, restful state. This is also where many meditation and mindfulness exercises originate. If you've ever done a guided meditation or mindfulness exercise, oftentimes the person who's sharing that exercise will ask you to let go of all your thoughts and find that center space or that default mode network, that waking, restful space or state. You're paying attention, but you're not holding on to things or thoughts or ideas. So the state of unfocused thought, where we are simply letting external and internal experiences pass us by without clinging to them. Creativity and creative thinking comes from this default mode space. It is during periods of unfocused, wakeful rest that we have increased opportunities to see things in different ways, to make new associations, and to have new ideas. Additionally, flexibility of thought, or cognitive flexibility, which is essential to creativity, has been found to be activated through mindfulness. Cognitive flexibility, which comes from being mindful, is actually supporting our capacity to be more creative. Now you might be thinking, what happens when stress takes over and I don't feel creative? When the mind is under pressure, creativity can be restricted. When we are overly stressed, our creativity and our mindfulness tend to be left behind. And yet, when we are overly stressed, creativity and mindfulness can support us to decrease that stress. Mindfulness for creativity is about releasing the pressure and fully being in the present moment. Mindfulness helps us manage stress and unleash and reawaken creativity again. As our mindfulness skills improve, we develop a faster access to what many creatives call flow. When our mind is at peace, creative thinking can flow, happiness can grow, and challenges are easier to overcome. Now, you don't have to be an artist or performer to benefit from increased creativity or tapping into flow. You don't even have to identify as a creative person in order to increase your creativity. You can simply have a desire to reconnect or reawaken your creativity. You also don't need a reason to tap into your inner creative flow. We are all creative, whether you realize it or not. Research has shown that the act of meditating not only stimulates the high-frequency brain waves that signal attention and perception, it also frees up parts of your brain that deal with memory, focus, and cognitive ability, all aspects associated with creativity. The creative process happens in the present moment, and we need to stay in the present moment to enjoy the process of creating, and mindfulness supports that. Focusing on the process of creating helps us let go of our fears and gives us space to explore and be open to new ideas. The stillness and silence of meditation and mindfulness acts as an incubator for creativity and innovation. So, have I convinced you that creativity and mindfulness are connected? Or have I offered a new way to look at mindfulness as a way to awaken creativity? The next time you get stuck on a creative project, or if you want to practice awakening creativity in your own life, flex your mindfulness muscles and see what happens. Thanks so much for joining me for this solo episode. I love having the opportunity to share with you how creativity connects to other areas of our lives and how creativity can support transformation and growth. Creativity is a mindset, and anything we do can be creative. Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.